嘿，各位亲爱观众，大家好，我是富卡，又到了我们亚洲生活在美国。Welcome to Asian Global Now at Edge Radio in Houston, Texas, every Monday from 11 to noon. Here we have our special guest, Ava. Ava, tell everybody your full name.
Well, my name is Eva Elias.
Elias, okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Miss Elias, well, we've been friends for almost 10 years now, right?
Been a while, yes.
Yeah, been a while. Yeah, welcome to my show. Well, this show's special mission is all about communication between communities, about Asian American, Afro American, Latino American, everybody, you know. So we'll try to find out how everybody lived and what people do if you are immigrant from America to America, and find out how you grow up, what was it like living here. You were born here as second generation or third generation. We want to find out what's like growing up with a grandma and parents. 我们这节目主要的目的是希望大家沟通各种不同的美国的种族的社会，大家可以团结在一起，生活在一起，很愉快。So, well, tell me about yourself. Are you grow up in Houston, Texas, and what were you actually a nationality background?
Okay, so I always tell everyone that asks me that question, it's a loaded question, so I'm going to try and tread carefully, or as careful as I can. All right, so starting off with my nationality, my ethnicity. So my father is from Ecuador. My mother is from Guatemala, and I was born in Jersey.
Okay,
and grew
New
up in
Jersey.
Brooklyn. Yes, New Jersey. Yes. And I'm also a military brat, so I've traveled the world.
他从小的时候，因为父母亲都在美国的军队里面，所以他到处游玩，也到了很多不同国家。他的父母亲的话都是中南美洲人所以非常很有意思。Yeah. So, when you grow up, you live a different city, okay, outside the United States?
Yes. So, the longest place that I actually lived in, we lived in 4 years. We lived in Darmstadt, which is about 20 minutes from Frankfurt.
Oh, Germany.
Germany.
Oh, okay.
And then the other 4 years we lived in Karlsruhe, which is right on the border of France, in Strasbourg.
Okay.
But during all that time frame, my grandparents were actually living in Sicily, so our summers would be spent in Sicily, which was great.
Wow, how nice.
Yeah, so we've traveled, all over Europe. It was a great experience. Of course, we're now in COVID. I would love to say everybody go out and do it. We can't, but when we can, I would definitely suggest everyone go. If you haven't gone, go.
Right. 他是希望大家有机会以后周游全世界。他小的时候4年在德国，然后又在意大利西西里小岛那边，他的祖父母就住在那个地方，他就去看他们，到处游玩，非常的精彩。他说有机会的话，在全世界周游的话是非常值得的，非常好的机会。有机会，希望我们这个传染病这个 pandemic over, so we can go over the world again. So, well, how did you end up in Texas?
In Texas? I know that's a great question. So how we ended up in Texas, so my father was getting ready to retire from the military, and he was looking at where he was going to, end up. And the two options that he had on the table, right, because I was still young at that point, was first one was Florida, because we have family members there in Miami, and then he had one friend here in Houston. He came and visited and made up his mind. He was like, you know what, I prefer Houston over Florida. And thankfully so, and I'll give you a reason why. But that's how we ended up here. And of course, I'm very close to my family, so because they all decided they were coming here, I was like, I'm going to come here too. And the reason why I say thankfully is because had we moved, we would have been hit with Andrew.
Oh, the hurricane.
So thankfully, we did not go.
So how old were you at the time?
Oh my gosh, I must have been like, 18, 19 maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
他说他18、19岁的时候，他的父亲从美国的军务退休，他们就回到美国，决定住佛罗里达州还是住德州。他的父亲就最后决定在德州，因为的话，他觉得德州的环境对家庭环境更好。他说幸好选择德州，因为那时候正好佛罗里达有个很大的大台风，伤害了很多的居民，在佛罗里达那个安祖那一年，他那只有18岁。So by the time you go to Tech, you already finished your schooling, basically, most of the school.
Most of it, I would say yes. Well, high school, yes, of course, I was done with high school. So I was in the middle of trying to figure out if I was going to go, school up in Jersey, or if I was going to go to school here. So I ended up, staying here, and went to the University of Houston.
Right.
And then once, I said, let me go ahead and try and see if I'm going to stay here or not. And then when I did, like the first semester, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and stay here. Okay. Very different, obviously. We're talking about, what was that, 20, maybe even 30 years ago without even dating myself, right? Which, if you look at the comparison of Houston now versus then, I mean, I remember coming in then and taking a look at, what the landscape was like, after 4 or 5 on a Friday downtown, and it was like completely nothing was going on. Right.
他那时候刚刚高中毕业，决定读大学，但是他想也许回去新泽西州。新泽西州是他本来的出生地，但他决定还是留在德州。他觉得这里学校环境比较好。那已经20-30年前了，当那个时候休整没有现在这么繁华，这么忙。他说下午5-6点钟的话，城里面都是空空的，很清淡，不像现在这么热闹。当然，时间会改变一切。Yeah. So over the year, you see Houston grow into this huge, mega, busy international city. So, what is the biggest you think is impression to you? All the changes. You think it's too fast, too slow, or this is a good thing to you in Houston?
I think that the changes are good. I think that with any change, some people are going to be a bit thrown off because it's different. But I think when you compare globally what's going on and compare it to Houston, the very cool thing about Houston, I think, and when people come down here, they learn to appreciate it is the like at home. It's a very homey place to be, meaning that people are very welcoming. That was the first thing that
I see.
That the impression that I got, because of course we're coming from Northeast, right?
Yes.
Where nobody really says good morning, right?
Right.
What's good about that? And here I was like,
Southern really hospitality, we call it, right?
Exactly. So that was very welcoming.
他说休斯顿对他最大的影响是觉得南方的人非常的好客，而且对人非常的客气，而且的话很欢迎大家来。这在东西部，他觉得好像往往没有受到那么好的这种环境，所以他决定这里来居住，然后继续他的事业。Okay. Well, so at that time you wasn't married.
No, I was not.
Was not married. So we're going to continue talk about more and about your family life and your career choice. But give everybody your name of your agency real quick before we take a break.
Okay, so the name of my agency is Revolution Management Agency. And you can find us on Instagram under Revolution Management, Facebook, and you can also go to revolution.com, and I will spell it REVALUSHION and .com, and you should be able to find it.
Well, fantastic! 他等一下回来跟我们讲一下，他怎么会从一个大学毕业生，然后做到一个就是说模特儿公司，还有就是茶艺公司的总裁。然后的话还有很多精彩的里面的故事跟大家讲，所以不要走开。We'll be right back. Asian Global Now and Edge Radio in Houston, Texas. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Well, that's exciting.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk.
And I bring the unity.
And together we talk about unity. Unity is what matters.
Come on.
And right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad to Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk about unity because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters.
Welcome back， 各位亲爱的观众，我是傅凯。Welcome back， this is Jake Fu at the Houston, Texas Edge Radio Network. Our show is called Asian Global Now. It's about communicating between communities. And here we have my best friend, Ava, from a Revolution Talent Agency and Modern Agency. And she's our special guest today. We're going to talk about how and when and why and all those questions. 今天我们要访问我的好朋友 Ava， 她怎么样成立她自己的模特儿跟这些公司，怎么才艺公司 ？Yeah. So Ava, so after you kind of finish your college, what is your first choice of career? You know, you don't. Of course, you don't just come out and say, "Oh, I want to be a CEO of a modeling agency." You know.
No.
You like fashion, right?
I love fashion. I loved art. As a matter of fact, while I was doing my basics. One of the things that I really was interested in was in acting. Ironically, it was in acting. So, and this was, you know, me coming back from overseas, right?
Right.
So the first thing that when I get here, I hear is for a casting call. This is when we had, you know, those big Hollywood movies that they were doing here.
Right.
And there was a casting call on the radio where they were looking for extras. For a movie, and the movie at the time was the Chase with Charlie Sheen. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a whole bunch of crazy stories there, but okay. So I started off with that, you know, to try and get my foot in the door to see how that all went. I liked it for the most part. It was fun. The only thing that I really wasn't, it wasn't really me, that whole hurry up and wait, you know, behind the cameras in terms of a film, but I understood a lot of what was going on, right? And it was a great experience. But then there came the point where I was like, you know what, I really need to, you know, what it is that I need to do, which at that point I was actually focusing on political science. I was looking at trying to transition into pre-law to go to law school.
I see.
Which is ironic. So then you ask, how do we go from law school or law to fashion, you know?
Let me tell our audience， 他那个时候刚刚大学还在大学中间在选课的时候，正好修真的时候有很多好莱坞的公司在这里拍电影，他就去做临时演员，就是说后面的路人甲、路人乙。他非常感兴趣，因为他对演戏这方面的话很有兴趣。当他看了他们拍的电影之后，觉得这个电影这样也许有点不太适合他，比他想象中的复杂，而且好像有的时候等的时间很长，好像这生活就好像有点浪费了。他就决定又回到大学，那个时候正好准备学法律，走法律这条路。但是我们接着就看看他后来又怎么又从法律又转回这个娱乐界这一行。So, well, after you studied the law school for a while, so what happened?
So what happened? Okay, so let me tell you what happened. So while I was in school and doing my basics, looking at, you know, doing some political science, so I started working with the city. At that time, the city had the after-school programs, and I'm sure they still have it to just name something else now.
Right.
And those after-school programs was for college students to get help, you know, while they work, you know, to be able to make some money, but also helping build arts and crafts and culture with all the kids, you know, in the Parks and Recreation Department. So as I worked through that, the experience with the kids were great. I've always loved working with arts, with the kids, you know, because I think it's very important to be able to empower the youth. right?
Right,
Because
right,
youth
very important.
is our
Education.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah, let me tell you.
Mhm.
So 当他在上大学之间的话，他就有所说就是业余的时间啊，就是学校空余时间，他就去教小孩子他们的辅导课，就像我们学校下了课之后有其他的活动，所以他觉得非常有意义，而且非常的喜欢。他觉得教小孩子的教育怎么辅导他会非常重要的生活里面一部分，他就在这方面的路线慢慢往这边走了。Okay, then after that.
So in doing some of the programs, which were, like I said, they were great experiences. I mean, you get to learn a lot about what's really going on the streets, right?
Right.
So in doing a function for, I think it was Thanksgiving at the time, just some of the things that were going on, and I'm not going to get into the politics. I'll just say that working with government just made me change my mind in regard to how I was going to approach things. So from there, that's where I decided to go corporate after that. Okay. And that led me to, which was going to be the next phase of my life for a while, which is finance.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if I need to pause here for you to.
Well, 他对于这个辅导学生这一方面，慢慢他就觉得这个政府方面有时候好像补益不足，所以他改了新的方法，然后怎么样帮助这些学生辅导他们教育，所以他就从法律然后慢慢走入上经济金融这一方面的学习，跟大学就跟有点不太一样。结果他觉得话，现在就是讲到这改变，这个又从法律改到另外一个事业。So after you got into finance, yeah.
So while I was in finance, then I come back to my love of fashion, of the arts, and then I started taking a look at some of my friends. We were talking about magazines back then.
I see you bought a magazine.
Yeah, yes. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So because it ties into that too. So so we were talking about starting a magazine that at that time would focus on more of culture, inclusive of all cultures, cultural attire as well.
I see.
But what ended up happening is life, right? So I ended up having a kid, and then I had to get serious, and I had to focus for the next, for a good while to be able to make sure that everything is okay, because we have to take care of families. But during that time, I was always involved in something that had to do with, fashion and art and So fast forward to recently, I would say about 6 or 7 years ago, where my son was getting ready to go in. He was graduating from high school, getting ready to go into college.
Yeah.
And at that point, I said, you know what? I need to come back to what it is that
you like the most.
I
Okay,
love,
pause
which is
that for
fashion.
Yeah, 所以他从那个业余辅导学生找到金融，后来就当然就结婚了，遇到他的先生，就培养小孩子的生活，就把他本来想自己做事情暂时摆下来了。后来他就觉得这个文化艺术这一方面的话非常的重要，所以他就也许跟一些杂志社慢慢有一点联系。但在他小孩子上了高中之后，他说现在我可以放心了，小孩子够大了，我可以专心现在做我要做的事情了，所以又慢慢又回到时装、娱乐还有文化这一方面的补助跟社会方面的怎么样改进。Yeah, so excellent. So after your kids went to high school, you're like, okay, I can breathe now, right?
I can breathe. Yes, I can.
I can do a little what mommy wants to do.
Exactly. And that's, my initial start, what I was thinking about at that point was all I wanted to have was an online boutique.
I see.
Interesting, right?
他说只要希望在网络上开个时装小小的时装店。Yeah.
So because there was a lot of clothes that I wanted to make available and all of that. Perfect. So I started on that, got that going, and as soon as I did, at the same time there was a mother-daughter duo that would approach me and had asked me. The mother was always telling me, "Look, they're looking for my daughter for all these different things. Can you help manage her?" I said, my role in terms of management, if any, is going to be more on what it is I do on a day-to-day basis, which was, the finance part. And I said, I'm really just wanting to focus on this, selling clothes. And they just kept on being insistent, and at first, what we started off is she needed a a close sponsor at that time. And
I
of course,
see.
the girl was gorgeous and she could sell anything. So that's how we started.
OK， 来没讲。他说那个时候他只是希望把他的时装在网络上好像去拍卖，就是说开个小小的网络 Internet shop。但遇到很多的妈妈跟女儿，因为要做模特儿嘛，希望有人跟他们合作，把衣服就好像买来穿在上面做时装的模特。他说有没有办法帮助他更进一步？他说那时候我只觉得就是很简单，就是说时装这方面。结果他们不停的要求他，结果他就决定说，也许这方面有很好的机会，所以他开始想往这方面推广。Yeah, so once you started modeling agent, what's the hardest part for revolution coming about? You know what I mean? Because Houston is a big city, lots of people here. It's very spread out. You know, yeah.
So, in terms of the hardest thing, well, let me kind of bridge where we went from the
mommy and daughter
boutique, right, to the model management.
Right.
So, in that span, what we ended up doing was that particular girl needed help in terms of beauty pageant.
Okay.
Right. And we all know that beauty pageants are super hard, right?
Yes.
But since she was 15 and every girl wants to be a model at 15 and 16, I said, you know what, what we're going to see, we're going to do this. And if I see what it is that I need from you, then we're going to go ahead and continue from here on out. Okay. So then long story short, we help her through that. She ends up winning.
Oh,
right?
Wonderful.
Which is great. But the other half of that is that the other side of the pageant world was one that I saw that wasn't very conducive. It was very at that point, supposed to be women empowerment.
Right.
And what we found in that particular case that it was anything but that.
I see.
Okay. So from there, what I said is, if you really want to do this, let's make this really something that works for you, which is going to be modeling.
I see.
And that's where we transition into modeling.
当时那个女孩子就15岁，她的妈妈他们就参加就所谓的这种比赛，叫选美比赛。她当时帮助她，我要帮助你。结果她在选美比赛，她以为是帮助女性这方面的，好像专门有所帮助。结果这选美完全是跟她想象中完全不一样，所以她就决定跟那个女孩说：“那我们就从头开始成为正式一个模特儿公司，然后我好好的把你还有训练一番。”呀。跟这个选美的话就有点不太一样呀，大家当然也赢啦，但是事实上这个你晓得，事实跟生活有时候想象中有点不太一样，所以他就开始做他模特儿公司的事业的这方面的推广。Yeah, so you start with one model.
So we start, with that one model, but with that with her, how it grew from there was that with that pageant. When the other girls saw what was happening with her, they were saying, whatever it is that you're doing with her, I want you to do with me.
I see.
And so that's how we started off with that.
Okay.
And then the great thing is that by the end of that year, which I think it was 2016, I want to say, that girl went and walked in New York Fashion Week.
Wow, nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
And so then from there, we just started evolving.
We
just started really evolving. And going back to your question in regards to what you had mentioned, what is the hardest part, right?
Right.
So I think the hardest part, and I think when it comes to the creatives, when it comes to this industry, the hardest part is for people to really understand that it is a business.
I see. OK. 最后那个女孩子，因为他们选美不是有很多其他的女孩子也在那里嘛，就看到她在帮她。就是说管理他的这个选美的事业，他觉得他好像很成功，所以他就说我也需要你帮忙，所以这样子他就开始那个模特儿宫就有不同的年轻人开始跟他合作。那个头一个女孩15岁，到最后就到纽约的时装周去成为走秀的模特儿，那这是很不容易的事情呢。所以事情就是说那种开赛就像雪球慢慢就越滚越大，就是说他也非常重视。他说很多人往往不能了解。模特儿跟娱乐这一方面不是只是好玩好看的，是一个真正非常认真的事业，所以大家必须要把这个事情看得很清楚，不是只是玩票性的，是一个真正的事业。Oh wow! So you had a lot of experience with because female in the fashion business is also very competitive. Most, believe it or not, in fashion business, mostly are very man-dominated business, modeling agency and stuff.
It is. My viewpoint with anything is that nothing is impossible. I think that as long as you have good business ethics, good practices, and that your team understands your vision and what it is that is needed on their side as well, I think that it's a recipe to be able to move forward.
OK， 各位圈观众，接下来我们将会有一个短暂的休息时间，但他讲了很多，因为时装这个事业，而且是非常男性化的，不是女性化。虽然卖的这很多女性的时装，所以一个女性能够成为一个模特儿公司的总裁，并不是很容易的，非常的艰难。所以的话，大家要知道，在这个社会上是一个男性为比较专权式的社会，所以女性往往并不容易在这个社会里面生存。所以对她来讲的话，中间有很多不同的挑战。所以的话，她等下回来跟你讲一些更多 more detail。更多仔细这一方面的挑战的问题。We'll be right back after break. We're going to talk about the challenge at a model agency in today's world. We'll be back just a moment. Don't go away. Asian Global Now for you and for everyone.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back for today's episode with Jake Fu and Ava from a Revolution talent agency, model agency CEO. She's here to talk to us about what it's like being part of fashion and talent world, how they're all coming about and stuff. We talked about a little earlier, and she's from Houston, Texas, native. So she's been here many years. A lot of good story about so 各位创业观众，今天我们介绍他的一个服装模特儿公司的一个总裁，告诉我们女性在这里开了服装公司的艰难困苦有非常好玩的地方。Yeah, we're gonna talk about next. So the fun part about a model talent agency to say all the talent come to audition. And how often did you have audition in your agency?
Okay, so the way that we handled it on our side has always been just a tad bit different, and let me explain what I mean by that. So ours has been more of invite, so by referral. That being said, there have been different projects, different things that we've been a part of, where we have had to do casting calls for them, you know, auditions.
Right.
And in the past, pre-COVID, those tended to be at least 2 to 3 times a year. Okay. However, that being said, people could always either apply through the website or you know, send in a request. Hey, how do I be able to join through the actual website at any time?
我另外观众他说他多半做这种面试啊比较少，多半是朋友介绍，就是说单方面的比较好。但是有的时候有很大的这种活动的话，他也会做这种 audition 面试，就是说大概1年有个2、3次。在这个我们这个 pandemic 之前的话，它是非常非常的普遍化。但是你有任何需求的话，可以到他的那个网络上面去给他写封信，把照片寄给他，他会跟你面试，就是面谈这一方面。所以大家不要客气啊，有机会的话可以去试试看。而且这样子的话比较私人方面的，不会好像那么多人来，你会很紧张很怕。所以这一方面他是比较照顾这一方面的，就是说假如你没有中选的话，你不会觉得很失望，因为没有那么多人看着你，比较 private。 Yeah, so 我跟大家讲 I told everyone you're more private invite, so give people a better understanding, you know, one-to-one base instead of full of hundreds of modeling call. You know, sometimes they call it cattle call. I mean, yeah, I would rather the way you're doing it is much more discreet, and people doesn't feel I could audition, I didn't make it, you know, feel more despair. So this way it's like one-on-one. So that's good. So how many model or you're managing, men and women?
So on the total right now on the roster, we are probably right at either 30 at the maximum. And our focus, since we're boutique, is our numbers are small. And we keep them that way for a reason, to be able to focus in on them appropriately, right? To make sure that we do what we need to do with them, because the more numbers, obviously, then it can get a little bit too
hard
much,
to manage,
right? But thankfully, that has actually.
I see. 所以他的模特儿公司大概只有30几个模特儿，虽然人数少，但他非常重视他们的身心方面的发展啊，跟他们生活方面的情况，不是只是好像做秀。所以这一方面他比较照顾他们手下的这些模特儿、这些演员，这些通通包括在里面。所以对他来讲，这样子在现在为止还是非常的成功的一种做法。So what's like a daily base for you? You get out in the morning, go to work, calling a client. What was like to be?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So. Get up, of course, you know, the emails are always going on. Calls are always going on, making sure that you schedule your day, you know, with the calls and projects as needed. Following up with possible candidates, right, in terms of interview. Even though I'm the only one here that's sitting right here, but the great news and the great thing is that I have a great team behind me.
I see.
Where I have an operations manager and also a accountant that also helps in terms of the operations as well, and so they come together to be able to coordinate all of that. So it's really following up on emails, taking a look at the people that have applied, seeing who it is that we follow up with them, also keeping in contact with casting calls that we get from different companies,
I see.
From different like fashion shows, different designers. So all of that is going on at the same time.
他说每天早上起来先要当然先注意他的电邮件，把这些事情，他后面有一群，就手下有一批人专门替他一起合作的工作人员，然后他们有时候要注重有些什么其他的时装秀在找人啊，然后回他们电话，还有新的人就好像 apply， 要希望参加他模特儿公司，怎么样跟他面试，告诉他们什么事情什么时间，蛮忙的。So you know, a fashion show, people always thinking is so easy. I just look pretty to walk on the runway. Does the model really need training for all those catwalk stuff?
It's very important to have training. And
how long does it usually take? Like a week, a month, a year?
That's a great question because a lot of people, when they take a look at this industry, they think that it's something that's very easy to do.
Okay.
It's true that for some people it comes more naturally than for others. That is a given, just like in anything, right?
Right.
But just as in any profession, if you want to be a professional, you also have to put in the work, in this as well, which means that training for modeling is constant. So you have to always be participating in some type of runway to make sure that you keep that up.
I see.
Posing, right? Because that's campaigns, that's commercials, things of that nature. So all of that has to come together, and that's an ongoing process for them to be able to hone in and better their skills. Because at the end, that's what the campaigns, that's what the designers, that's what the shows are going to be looking for.
I see.
Right?
他说，一个好的模特的话，要经过短的时间的训练，然后长时间的不停的学习，然后不是很快，然后因为你要随时准备，就会照相啊、做广告啊，很多客户要找你啊，所以你随时都要心里要有准备，把你的身心方面的锻炼都非常的重要。所以的话，不是只是好像走秀，还有其他方面非常重要的，也要必须配合，才能够成为很成功模特儿，是要非常认真的一个事业，不是像玩票性的。So, doing a fashion show, usually, okay, you say the fashion show starting at 7 tonight. When the time the model had to be there, get ready. Usually.
Oh my gosh, they have to get ready a lot. It depends, right?
Okay, depends on designer, right?
It depends on the designer, but if you're gonna have something like more haute couture, more high fashion, it's gonna be earlier. Why? Because there's a lot of work that has to go into the hair.
Like what time would be? If we show at 7, what time to be there? Like
so, they might be there from, who knows? I've seen some call times where they've been there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I've seen some that have been like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
It all depends on the team that they have working behind the scenes and everything else that they have to coordinate.
他说，作为走秀的时候的话，有的时候虽然秀在晚上7点钟、早上10点钟或下午2点钟就要报到，因为中间有很多的东西要去做，什么这个走秀的这个练习啊，这个舞台啊，还有灯光啊都要配合。然后的话，模特本身的化妆、试衣服、改进，这些 rehearsal to take a time。然后so it's not just like 2 hour, I gonna run.
Oh,
away.
no,
never.
Not at all. No.
Never. Okay. So take a team, right? When you go out there, everybody work together. So some models, some young people thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a model. It's all about me. Is that the case or no? You have to be team.
Oh,
effort?
no. It definitely has to be a team effort. And the best models, I would say the best teams, because it all has to come together for it to look at when you like it, it has to come together, right?
Okay.
So that means that everyone has to be on their A game.
I see.
So the model has to know that they not only have to execute, but they also have to be a team player, and they also have to not only promote themselves, right, but also promote who it is that they're working with at the same time.
I see.
Right?
Yeah, 模特不是光只要关于照顾自己的外形跟行动活动之外，还要非常注意整个团体，还要重视这个服装设计师他们的需求怎么样把它表现出来。Oh, well, there's lots of work involved in that.
Oh yes, there is a lot.
But I know when we watch the show on the run, like, wow, it looks so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
lots
just
of fun.
Yeah, a lot of people think, well, it's just 20 minutes. It's not going to take that long, right? They just come out and walk out, and it's nothing to it, right?
Right.
No, that is completely incorrect because it takes a lot of work behind the scenes for what it is that we see in front for that to be executed.
他说一个走秀也许20分钟在幕后所准备的工作非常的延长的时间。So, well, what happened if we say a designer say, well, I don't like this girl. I need someone right now. You're all the last minute switching. So what do? The model might get hurt, like I was being rejected because he decided maybe this outfit is not for her or someone else. What do you do if you're the manager?
So I mean that has actually happened.
Okay. Okay. Well, 1 second. Well, this is an important topic. We're going to take a little quick break. We're going to come back talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Ava at the Revolution Talent Agency and Model Agency in Houston, Texas. She also went to Fashion Week New York many years. We'll be right back. Talk about 她到纽约的时装周去过，我们等下回来再谈更多的细节，不要走开啊 ！We'll be right back.
you tired of not getting what you want in bed?
Are you ready to spice things up behind those closed doors?
Woo! We're here for you every hump day at 7 p.m.
This is Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I'm Jennifer Reeves.
And I'm Hendrik Scott, and we are professional licensed sex therapists.
So remember to watch us Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Edge Radio TV, just in time for sexy time.
各位亲爱的观众，我是傅凯。你今天看的节目是我们讲一个模特儿跟时装公司的经纪人，我们的 Ava 给我们介绍一下。Yeah, we are here to talk about Revolution Model Talent Agency. How is like behind the scene for Fashion Week New York and Houston Fashion and what is going on right now. So we were talking about during the show what happened last minute. The designer decided to change a model out. So 最后1分钟。服装设计师，我要把这模特换人，他们是模特公司的经纪人，他们怎么办 ？So what do you do when you tell the designer, I have no girl, or what do you do?
Okay, so what can happen? The good part of all of that is that we have had that happen, and we learn to prepare.
Okay.
So that means that we always have at least two in the wing to be able to, if something goes wrong, to be able to go ahead and switch them out.
So did you have an extra model, or just switching someone else?
Switching someone out.
Okay.
You know, that's what I'm saying too. So that way, if either the other one doesn't work out, then there's another one that would be able to go ahead and come in. Now, is it a difficult situation? Obviously it is. And this is where this is why I'm saying that it's a team effort. So the designer has to understand beforehand, and we understand, but you know, there has to be that clear understanding because it's not a very conducive environment at that point.
Yeah, because I do talk show behind the scene with the fashion show, I can see the chaos background things happen, you know what I mean? Yeah, 所以我看过服装走秀在幕后是非常复杂，所以临时要换人是蛮麻烦，但是有时候服装设计要改，那艺术家 you know, designers like artists are very fundamental. I don't, you know, they change things.
Oh, yes.
So they're going to put it very hard on you.
Yes.
So, well, that is a good part. So tell about your magazine. I saw you brought some magazine to us.
So
what's that about?
I'm glad that you asked that. So going back to what we were talking about, the magazine, right? So fast forward to, you know, like 30 years, or 25 or 30 years afterwards, right? So I've been blessed and able to go ahead and work with Trey Magazine. You know, I am a fashion editor with them.
Oh, okay.
So that's where
这本杂叫做 Trey, and what did they say on there? They are saying
so it's the definitive voice, real news, life and style.
他说是 definitive voice， 就是非常专注的一种传播。Yeah， 里面告诉你的有各种的消息，它里面是做服装这方面的专报。So you do the fashion editors.
Correct.
So where I can get this magazine?
Right now it's free. Well, right now COVID, right now it's digital.
Okay.
It was print. It still is printed, but you know, we have to be careful with everything that's going on right now. In the future, we want to be able to go. We're working on that, just going digital and print individually as well.
它现在是在网络上面，因为 COVID-19， 但是是免费的杂志，所以不要花钱的。So is it Houston based?
It is Houston based.
Okay. Of course go worldwide on the internet. That's fantastic.
Right.
So tell me, what is the focus of the magazine? What is really the mission?
The mission is to be able to go ahead and focus on diversity.
Diversity.
Oh,
okay.
It is a minority-owned organization.
Okay.
So and it's also women-owned.
是第一是女性的杂志，第二的话，而且是各种少数民族 的这一方面的消息跟广播这方面的事。So the inside of they have fashion, they have
everything.
They have everything. 什么这里面都有啊，太棒了。Yeah, we can see the little baby in the cover. It's beautiful. Yeah, also this is Black History Month. Everybody don't forget 这个月的话是黑人月。每一年的话在这里非常重要。We have a lot of celebration this month, so everybody go celebrate. You know, yeah. It's
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it is
every life matters. You know what I mean? So it's very important.
It is a great magazine. There's a lot of good content that's going to be coming out in terms of social media as well.
Look at that.
As you can see. Yes. So just great content. And on top of that, I'm going to add, now that we're in February, which is Black History Month.
I love this global education. Yeah, 全世界性的教育. Yeah.
Yes. So on top of that, I also am a board member with a nonprofit organization at the same time that focuses on arts and culture, which is called Solel International.
Okay.
And who also works with Trey
Okay,
as well.
他现在也在一个就是说慈善基业里面是他们的 board member， 就是主办人之一，然后也是管到全世界性的文化教育这一方面的非常的重要。So how we found out about that? Do you have a website for that?
So yes, so how you can find out more about Solel is you would go to solelint.org.
Okay.
And you should be able to go there and take a look at everything that's going on. But basically what that organization is about is also focused on arts and culture, reviving disadvantaged communities through arts and culture.
Oh,
okay. And also we help in terms of Revolution, of course, as a board member, we also help in terms of the Fashion Act. Right, and a lot of great things in terms of culture as well. And pretty soon you'll be able to see a lot of what's going to come.
他的模特公司跟这个慈善事业跟这个杂志都是一起联合，就是帮助大家了解这个。有些人的话，不是家里不是很富有，然后希望得到很好的教育跟机会，所以他们给他们很好的机会，用这个机会来给大家补助，所以非常的重要。所以大家往往不要说有些东西只 fashion is only for the high price tag, but everybody starting from beginning from somewhere. Fashion designer, model, actor, writer, singer, everybody starting from somewhere. So there's opportunity we have here.
Yes, definitely. So I would definitely urge everyone, if you can go to the Facebook pages, the social media sites, to be able to take a look at it for Trey and also for Solel. And for anybody that wants to know more about what it is that Revolution is doing, of course, you can go ahead and take a look at it. And I would say this to everyone out there, for those that are hopefuls, for those that, have that inclination of, what is this about? I think that this is also a good time that if you want to take a look at it, it is a good time, given that we are in a pandemic.
Right.
But like I tell everyone, it's kind of like that cliche, quote, which is, it's the worst of times, it's the best of times.
Right. 因为大家他说，因为他现在的话，机会很难的，最好的时间、最坏的时间，我们 pandemic 都有互相联合的机会，所以大家要把握这个机会，好好的把握住。有的时候最糟糕的时候，也许是你最好的机会，发展你的事业跟机会的成功的能力能够发展，因为大家事情多了，机会也多了，所以有很多好的机会，所以大家不要忘记。Yeah, so what's the last word to all the little girl out there want to be a model?
I would say go ahead and take a look at what it is that you really have to do. You can go to our website. You can go to our social media pages. You could see what the girls are doing. Like you had said, we've gone to New York. Last year we did, pre-COVID, we were just in Paris as well. And we're continuing to build out as things come by. And of course we can get back. But I would say to all of them, anything is possible. But you have to know that you have to put in the work.
Okay.
And you have
所以
to
跟外面所有的年轻人讲，假如你想做模特的话，这是一个非常的正式、认真的去做它，你就会成功。Well, thank you to come our show. Well, today's show is to talk about community to community culture arts promotion. And my name is Jake Fu. We are here every Monday from 11 to noon, talk to our community. Everybody come together. Unity, as our president said. Come together, join, celebrating Black History Month. Every life matters. 也大家亲爱的观众，希望大家团结在一起，让大家所有人合作在一起，能够做到最好的明天。所以的话，每个礼拜一11点到中午，大家不要忘记了，亚洲生活在美国。Yeah, Asian Global Now at Edge Radio, Houston, Texas. Yeah, we'll be right back next week with other special guest, Ava. Great job.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank
you so
you.
much. It's great. Okay, have a nice week.
Bye-bye.
Valentine's Day.